Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you, thank you, thank you for continuing to rock with me, rock with us here at Legacy Internet Radio on the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Thank you to those folks that was with us in the previous segment. We spent an hour with our brother K-Dub, and it was great. You know, it's been a long time since we had an opportunity to build with him in any length of time, and you know, we got an opportunity to have a whole hour, so that was a treat. That was a treat, unexpected treat. So, but we're gonna move on, and we're gonna move on with a guest that just walked into the studio, and I look forward to bringing him to you. You hear him semi-regular here on this show. It's semi-regular on other shows throughout Legacy Internet Radio, but you hear him on his show every single Wednesday night from 7 p.m. Eastern until 9 on hashtag Brother and Sister Shenanigans. He is my big brother and yours. Big Bro Joe is here. What's up, man?
Yo, what's going on, Marcus J? How you doing today, bro?
I'm chilling, brothers. Good to see you, man.
Oh, good to see you, too.
You good?
Yeah, slight headache, you know, a little tension here, a little sinus there.
You need a BC?
Yeah, I do.
I don't got none.
What darn?
You ever wonder what BC stands for?
Just because?
But ain't no J.
Well, no, I mean.
What does BC stand for? Like, everything is an acronym. Everything stands for something. Like,
it's something carbonate. It's got to deal with the medication inside of it.
See, I knew I would be able to get the answer from you, even if it was half. You sort of knew. You didn't all the way know, but you sort of knew, and that's good enough for now because I don't know what it stands for. Like, you would think, you know, it would have like an A in it because of the acetaminophen.
Acetaminophen?
Yeah, which is like the active ingredient that keeps you from, you know, not having a headache when you take it. But I guess not.
Yeah, acetaminophen, caffeine. It's 800. No, is it 650 milligrams? No, 850 milligrams.
Wow.
No, 650 in one.
Or as the old folks would say, man, don't give me the line. I don't know. Don't give me the don't give me
it's
the line.
It's like 650 milligrams up top for just once, and I normally get 2.
Oh yeah, I don't do 2, man. If I get 2, I mean, because sometimes 1 will make me high as hell. I'll be high as hell sometimes off of 1. But
off of BC?
Oh yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, man. You know, I don't like to take medicine. You know, and you know, I'm notorious for not wanting to take medicine, but you know, it is what it is. You got to take it. You got to take it. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. Live from Den Legacy Internet Radio. I want to take the next piece of the show tonight and just offer some opinions on some clips that we're going to play.
Okay.
First clip that we're going to play is from one of my favorite shows. Don't Judge Me. I like Orange is the New Black. I always have.
Okay.
I started off watching it because I like prison shows. I'm fascinated by prison. My brother's a prison guard. You know, Oz was the shit in the 90s. I mean, I'm fascinated by prison life. And it was a show about women in prison. So I was like, yeah, let me check that out. And then I got caught up in it, and I liked the show. Season 5 is boring as hell, but I'm caught up in the characters. I'm going to watch to see what's going to happen. But there was a storyline that they did on this. Well, it all gets released on it all gets released at one time. So let me not say it was on one particular. It was an episode that I was just watching.
Okay.
And it was the way they do it is they flash back the prisoners and they bring them in, you know, they show you them when they were younger to help understand how they got to where they are. And there's a young prisoner, it doesn't matter what her storyline is. I just wanted to play this clip because this clip really did kind of blow my mind. And so I'm going to play it. The backdrop, before I play this clip, the piece that you need to know is the young girl is, she's a student, and her teacher set it up so that she could go and do a tour at one of the more rich schools, a white school. And her tour guide, and she's probably about mama's age, 13, 14.
Okay.
And her tour guide shows her all the culture and shows her all of the electives and all of that kind of stuff that they have. One of the things that she showed her is the visual arts department where, and there was nobody black at the school. There's nobody black at the school. In the visual arts department, they showed her the production of Dreamgirls, where they were performing Effie and Dina and I can't remember the other girl's name. But anyway, this is the experience that she had prior to this exchange with her teacher. I want you to listen, and then we're going to talk about it.
All right.
I need your mom to sign this so she knows you got a D. It's hard for me to write grades like this on your work, Janae. I know what you're capable of.
Whatever. Not like it's a real paper.
What do you mean?
I mean, we ain't quote of secondary sources using APA or MLA. We ain't studying SAT words or growing salad. And we didn't even have a library in the school because it got made into a nursery for our fucking hood rat babies. 2 zip codes from here. They got laptops and art galleries. They got so much culture they even know when they stealing ours. It's a load of shit.
Right. I wish it weren't, but it's true. Thurston students are privileged and advantaged, and sometimes you feel like you have to work twice as hard to get half as far. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Okay, you belong with the bright.
Why even bother playing a game that's rigged? Courtney's going to a science camp this summer that costs more than my dad makes in 3 months. How could I ever compete? I'll see you in this film.
Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J, live from the den, Legacy Internet Radio. Now, here's why I wanted to play that clip. Matter of fact, before I get into why I wanted to play that clip, Joe, I know at the beginning you had some trouble hearing it, but did you catch the gist of it?
Yeah.
You did.
I caught the gist.
All right. So tell me what your thoughts is when you hear that.
Well, I mean, it's a problem that is very often seen with inner city kids trying to compete with the privileged ones, as I like to call them. I mean, we see that every day. And it's one teacher, seems like, trying to make a difference in a kid's life, but the kid is telling her, hey, this is the streets, and this is what this is about, and we know this is a game. I know this game, and I don't want to play it. There's no need for me to play because I'm not going to win it. And the teacher's trying to get her to understand that you can do anything if you try, which is bullshit in a nutshell. Well, let me. Some people get out. The majority of them don't. You know, so I understand. I feel her frustration. I really do. I try to teach my kids that, hey, you know what? You can do whatever you want to do. You have to put that foot forward to just try it, because if you don't try it, you will definitely fail. But, you know, everybody doesn't see that. If you're growing up in the inner city, if you're growing up in the hoods of Chicago, if you're growing up in right here in RVA, if you're growing up in Mosby Court and you seeing the violence and the things around you, and you know what this game is already at a tender age, yo, it's scary because you just don't have any faith in the system. When you look at
black on black crime,
you don't have any faith in the system, man. It's toe up.
It's upsetting because already at the young age, she already knows what it is. She already know what it is.
Yeah.
She already know what it is. Like, she don't have to be taught what it is. The fact that as a young person, she was so frustrated, she dropped the F-bomb and talking to her teachers. Like, come on, man. Like, teachers doing what a teacher's supposed to do and trying to keep her encouraged. Even though that you know the system is messed up, you got to still fight through it. And she's like, man, this is some bullshit. Like, for real.
Yeah.
And this is the despair that our young children are dealing with, because as we talked a little bit about towards the end of the last segment, you were here listening to Dub and I talking about how our kids today are a little bit more advanced in certain ways than we were.
Definitely.
They're muted in some ways, but they're more advanced in some ways. The way that you speak to your adult children and the way I speak to my teenager is different than how we were spoken to when we were of their ages.
Oh, definitely.
What's the reason, in your opinion? And when you answer, I want you to be thinking about that young girl.
It's for me.
For you.
The way I spoke to my older children And the way I even speak to my younger one now, I have to, wow, I have to measure my words. And I didn't do it as much with the older ones, but the younger one, I have to measure what I say because of society's grasp and grip on television and things of that nature. Like you made a key point. Back in the day, we didn't sit in the house and watch television and have social media and have Snapchat, and we couldn't communicate with people on Facebook, and we couldn't do it. We couldn't do that. We had to actually go out and meet our friends at the playground, ride our bicycles somewhere, or walk, or catch a bus, or do something like that. And with that, things changed. I mean, I remember a lot of the things that when we grew up, it was do what I told you to do and don't backtalk or don't ask a question. And the kids today ask questions. Now, I can say from my point of view, mine asks it respectfully because they know they can still catch that old school beat down. And I say that and people might not understand it. And I don't mean beating as in beating, but, you know, some people might take that the wrong way. But an old school whooping or a smack in the mouth, which gets measured once again, because I'll say this, you know, white folk don't like to see you hit kids, black kids, because they first thing they sit there and say is, oh, you shouldn't do that. Dr. Spock says you should put them in time out. Yeah, okay, Dr. Spock. He lived long and prosper in 2027. Not today.
It's a different world.
It's a different world.
It's a different world. Ain't no Stab Marcus J, live from the Dan Legacy and that radio. You're an interesting person to have this conversation with because you've raised children and you're raising children in the current climate. And you've been to the schools. You probably had to deal with the teacher like that. I have. Yeah.
I've had to deal, and I've had to also deal with a teacher. Well, I had to deal with that type of teacher with my older kids, but they knew. The one thing I tried not to do was shelter them, so they knew both sides of the coin. That's a big difference. I think sometimes in the cities, the parents are so downtrodden and hurt or undereducated that they don't know how to raise a kid, but the only way they know how to raise a kid, and that's no shade. I'm not throwing any shade at all, but they just don't have the capacity to be able to do certain things because they weren't taught certain things and they don't know certain things. And their parents weren't able to teach them certain things, but maybe what they knew. I mean, hard knock life is what it was for a lot of those kids back in there. And for that clip, I mean, I can see my little man now, he would never say what he said. You know why? Because I push him regardless. You have to push him in the home. If you push him in the home to do better, then when they get out into the streets and they see the nonsense and the teacher's telling them something, they're going to take that bits and pieces and be like, okay, well, guess what? Pops has already and Moms has already showed me this. I know what I have to do. And great, I appreciate you showing me. What else can I grasp in order to move forward?
Right. Our brother Hakeem is listening, and he says to check out John Oliver's segment on the topic. Also, he read the book back in college called Savage Inequities by Jonathan Kozol. Shocking and mind-blowing. I appreciate that, Hawk. Thank you for that comment. Ain't no hashtag Marks J live from the den. Legacy Internet Radio 804-402-2893 is the number to dial if you want to be a part of the discussion. I want to change gears a little bit, big bro. I want to talk a little bit about Philando Castile. Hopefully, I said on Facebook, social media earlier this week, late last week, early this weekend, that I was absolutely going to flood your timeline if you're someone who has a problem with Philando Castile being in the news. And before I go here, man, I'm about to piss some people off.
Go ahead. That's what this world needs.
Man, I'm about to piss people off. All right. Otto Warmbier went to North Korea and broke their laws. He went to North Korea and broke their laws. And he came home dead, which is tragic, it's sad, it's all of those things. It's tragic, it's sad, it's terrible, it's all of those things. But white privilege is the reason why he's dead. White privilege. Because white privilege will have you go to another country and think that American laws is going to save you. You don't get to go to somebody else's country and break their laws and think that you can get away with that. Do you think that it's okay to be in Turkey and steal a piece of gum and they cut your hands off? No, I don't. But I'm not in Turkey. If I was in Turkey, I would know, don't steal a piece of freaking gum. Then cut my damn hands off. When you go to somebody else's country, you don't get to think, because I'm an American, I can do what I want to do. Again, I'm about to piss some people off, but it's some stuff that black folk, we just don't do. Like, when's the last time you heard a black person getting bit by a shark?
I haven't.
When's the last time you've heard of a black person getting chased by a lion and eaten alive if they wasn't living in the bush because they had no other choice?
I haven't heard that one
On
either.
a safari, you get eaten alive.
Right.
It's just certain stuff that we don't do. There's certain stuff that we do. And we got to take responsibility for that. But my point in bringing this all up is America has been brainwashed into thinking that we need to go bananas and want to go to war and want to fight North Korea and all of this stuff. And Barack Obama is a punk because he didn't fight harder to bring him home and all this shit, right?
Yeah.
About this one white boy who went to another country and broke their laws and came home dead, which is sad and tragic. And I think the North Korea regime, not because the American media has told me so, but because I've done my own homework and I know there's some crazy ass people.
Right.
Based upon what we know about how people should be, not American laws, but based upon how we think people should be. However, when in Rome, man, when in Rome. And so I look at Otto Warmbier and I look at Philando Castile. Two names of Americans that we talked about. Both dead, not at the same time, but their stories popped up in the media around the same time. Both dead. One went to another country, broke their laws, and wound up dead because of it.
Okay.
One was in his own country, in his own town, in his own car, broke no laws, and wound up dead. And which one of the two of them you think the normal American person, when I say normal, let me not say normal.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm not going to say normal because that was a bad choice of words on my part. The average American, which one of the two of them you think the average American is rallying around? Are they rallying around the white boy that went to another country and broke the laws? Or are they rallying around the black man who didn't break no laws, who nobody seems to care about unless they're melanated?
Okay, so I'm going to break this down for you. You know, we had this exact same discussion last week on my show, hashtag Brother Sister Shenanigans, with little sis Kim and Dr. E. And my little sis went in on Dr. E and I because we had totally different mentalities on the way she felt about it. Now, I'm going to give you a synopsis of what she said. She said that nobody should be put in jail for 15 years hard labor for ripping down propaganda and paper.
I was listening and I heard that.
And you know what I call?
Bullshit.
Because I said, see, that's where you were wrong. And I had to go back and remind her that I've seen certain things. Like you said, you made reference to Turkey. If you in Turkey and you steal something, they cut your hand off. If you lie, they cut your tongue out. If you a peeping Tom, guess what?
Ooh.
They pull your eyeballs out. You got to understand certain things. You are not at home. You are fat and happy and overprivileged and overeaten, and it's just crazy because there's no way in the world that you should believe. You should never believe that you can go to somebody else's house and cut the food and don't expect to deal with the rules of that person's house. Period. At all. I'm sorry for, and I don't care how many people are pissed off. Guess what? The boy died. I'm not advocating that the dude, he dead. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the fact that the young man is dead, yes. But the punishment fit the crime where he was. If you were in the United States of America with some of these soft laws, guess what? if some of these soft laws for people who are actually guilty of the things that they would do, I wouldn't be paying these inordinate taxes to keep people on death row for 15 and 20 years. If they did it, hook them up.
Right here in America, we know that you can live in Arizona and be a white girl high on marijuana, put your kid on the roof of your car, drive 12 miles, your kid falls off, and end up with probation. Or you could be a black woman in the same jurisdiction who left her kids in the car to go to a job interview and lose your kids and go to jail.
Yeah.
This is how America rolls.
Yeah.
And so as American people, we are being asked to support. Nobody's saying they're going to war. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but it ain't going to be over this kid. But we keep seeing this in the news for a reason, because, I mean, we saw them at the funeral, at the high school. They keep playing the clip. And he had a real cool line. He was talking about, this is the end of the saga and the sequel of our life is coming. That was a dope line that he said. He was a salutatorian in his high school graduation. Why do I know that? Because they will make sure that you know everything positive about this, as opposed to the fact that they think they smelled marijuana in Philando Castile's car.
But you know what?
But it never came up in the toxicology report.
I have to go back to one point that you made. As black folk, we don't do certain things. First of all, I don't go to North Korea to take a vacation.
Yeah.
The boy went to take a vacation
at 22
at a communist
violent regime
where we already know the only black person who got to go there is Dennis
Rodman.
Because he's just as crazy as Young Wong, whatever the dude name is. Kim
Jong-un.
Yeah.
Ill. Un is the father. Ill is the son.
Ill, yeah.
Well, I wanna take a listen to a clip that we're gonna play that is talking about how one of the most popular news stations in America talks about this case. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I properly introduce a new participant into our discussion. First Lady of Legacy Internet Radio, our sister comedian, that's Lissa P, just walked in the room.
Howdy doody. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus.
You know what we want. You got to give it to us. You know what we want.
Oh. Ow, ow.
There you go.
That's almost like Wendy Williams. How you doing?
It's the trademark.
Big bro, Marcus J family. What's going on, everybody?
You're doing outstanding. Let me get this comment in from Hakeem, and then I'm going to go to the clip. Hakeem says, hold on. Well, hold up. Yes, when in Rome, do as Romans, but there is this thing called social evolution, and some of these countries are just backward, underdeveloped. They need to modernize. Harambee's code was good for the time, but the world has evolved and changed, and the rest of the world needs to modernize. That is a very American way to say that.
Okay.
It's a very American way to speak.
I got to go back at Ak for that one.
It's very American of you, Hakeem.
Yes, that is very American of you. That is very American privilege of you right now, Hak.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It doesn't make a difference where you can say that we need to come to some grips. And you know what? Well, if that's the case, America needs to come to some grips and terms and quit treating us like slaves.
I mean, for the record, I do not disagree with you.
I didn't say it, but
no, I'm not saying that you are. And I don't think you are. I think, Hakeem, we agree with you. We do. But at the end of the day, he was in another country.
And broke the law.
And broke their laws. And wound up dead. No matter how wrong we think that is, it's our American thought process. And that's the point. If you live in another country in the world and you say he got what he deserved, you have the right to think that way because your perspective in life and in your country makes you think that way. It's very American for us to think that we're going to go and change the world because some countries like it the way they got it.
I don't think all Americans believe that, though, because I'm one American, and I think he got what he deserved as far as he got 15 years hard labor for breaking the law. Guess what? He should have kept his dumb ass over here.
I understand that. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree that 15 years for snatching a poster off the wall is commensurate with the crime, but it's
But
very
that's your
American.
American privilege
That's my
speaking.
American privilege speaking. And I realized that. And I realized where Hakeem is coming from. And that's the reason why I had to take him to task just the way that you just took me to task. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the den. Legacy Internet Radio. I'm going to play this clip. I want y'all to hear. It's about a 5-minute clip I want y'all to listen to. We're going to come back on the other side, and we're going to talk about it. Big Bro Joe, First Lady, comedian S. Lissa P. Yours truly. Be back in a few minutes. Take a listen.
I do have a firearm on me.
We saw with our eyes and we heard with our ears.
That's okay, I'm right here with you.
Dashcam video of the incident, which was seen by the jury, has now been released. And it is very hard to look at that dashcam video and say that our fellow citizen, Philando Castile, got his due process.
So 0 minutes? Yep. Fox News spent 0 minutes on this. How on God's green earth can this network be considered a valid source of information when they spent no time talking about the release of dashcam footage that shows the ruthless, unjust killing of a black man in America? Especially when they have spent the last year saying things like this.
Can you say Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, and just say Black lives? Hispanic lives don't matter, Asian lives don't matter, white lives don't matter, the unborn lives don't matter?
Larry,
That
straighten
to
him
me
out,
is
will ya?
racist.
Holiday for bringing Americans together unless you decide to promote segregation while you do it.
In fact, I recall that the only person they covered nearly as much as Donald Trump was a certain black quarterback they accused of disrespecting this great nation when kneeling to bring light to situations precisely like Philando Castile's killing.
Colin Kaepernick's asinine publicity stunt.
That is the opposite of oppression, you dope.
So let me get this straight. Ripping into this man for kneeling is worth countless hours of coverage, but dashcam footage showing an officer firing 7 shots into a cooperative American is not worth a mention, or a segment, or at least a tiny bit of coverage. I mean, come on, I was at least expecting you to bring up the whole marijuana thing that the defense clutched onto, or even bring back your token black spokesperson, David Clark, to twist this narrative. The same way you spent countless hours twisting every other narrative about high-profile killings of black Americans.
He was in that store the night before at 1 a.m. and he was trying to sell drugs or make a drug exchange.
He robbed the store, said, F the police officers, you're too much of a P word to shoot me.
This is nonsense that this had anything to do with race. This is a tax case.
And of course, it wouldn't be hypocrisy without those who feed from the scraps of Fox mirroring their silence. Well, almost complete silence, because despite saying absolutely nothing on either the acquittal of Officer Yanez, the dashcam footage, or the heartbreaking video of Diamond Reynolds and her daughter handcuffed in the back of the police car, left alone to ponder the killing of their loved one, Tomi Lahren thought it was important to speak up only on a tweet she did not like from, who else? Kaepernick. So again, let me get this straight. We hear crickets on the chilling footage, but someone else sharing an opinion brings your hatred to the surface. You really are a whole next level of ugly, lady. And what about the Bible according to Hannity? You've been very vocal in your disregard for Black Lives Matter in the past, right? In fact, you spoke about this exact case before. Remember, you said this.
How about helping the person that's been shot?
So you felt that the most important part of this story demanding your attention was Diamond Reynolds documenting the situation. But you have nothing to say about the dashcam footage that actually documents the horrific actions of the police officer. What's wrong, Sean? You don't think his girlfriend should have jumped in front of the bullets as well? Maybe she should have used terms like sir and remained calm and cooperative.
I will, sir. No worries. I will.
Oh wait, she did that. She showed the utmost courtesy even to a man who maliciously just put 7 shots into the person she loved in front of her daughter. You make me sick. Your network makes me sick. The right-wingers who were so convinced Black Lives Matter was a hate group yet say nothing when the reasons for their protest are clear as night and day make me sick. The thing is, Fox and those who ride their coattails are not fit to hold themselves up as representatives of or spokesmen for this country's moral values. I mean, just take away the race issue and just look at this case as a routine situation where law enforcement has pulled over a driver for a minor traffic offense. You really have nothing to say about whether Philando Castile deserved to die, whether Diamond Reynolds and her daughter deserved to watch as he bled to death, and whether they then deserve to be thrown in the back of a squad car to wait and wonder what is going to happen to them next. If you don't have something to say about all of that, no one should listen to you about anything at all. Follow me on Instagram at Francis M. Maxwell, on Twitter at Francis M. Maxwell. Also share this video, call out the hypocrisy of those on the right. and continue to resist.
And you know how to step on Marcus J, live from the den, Legacy Internet Radio. First Lady, you had a chance to hear that, and these are pieces of information that I'm sure you've had conversations about. Talk to me about what you're thinking when you hear that clip, when you know about what you know about the story. Jump in here.
You know, I have a really quick question. Who was actually driving the car? Was it him or her?
He was, and because Facebook Live, which we're looking at right now, it inverts. You know what I mean? Because I was confused too.
I mean, I really didn't realize until I think up until really now who was driving.
Yeah.
You know,
he was driving.
Okay, the whole thing, of course, is very unfortunate, and I think, you know, we all know how we feel about it. You know, how we basically saw it go down for those who was actually watching at the time that she was Facebook Living. But, you know, now I hear that they settled. You know,
Really?
They had a settlement of $3 million.
Really? I didn't hear that.
And so, you know, my thing is, if you're not guilty, I guess, where does the settlements come from? Or, you know, and I guess I just don't understand. And, you know, will it ever stop?
Right. I think
everybody gets off, and I'm pretty sure everybody's seen the memes where they've listed all the police officers who've gotten off, you know, and so I'm pretty sure the list will just get longer.
Well, let me ask you this, staying with you, First Lady, for a minute. When we talk about the settlements, we know, I think the first case that many of us remember is the O.J. Simpson case when he was acquitted, but of the criminal charge of murdering Ron and Nicole,
right.
But he was found guilty in the civil trial,
right.
Which ironically led to his current predicament because he needed money, which is the reason why he was so aggressive about getting his stuff in the Las Vegas case.
Right.
So the point I'm making is the proven guilt is less civilly. But we also know that some of these officers get fired.
Right.
So if you're going to pay a settlement and fire an officer, how is it that you can't find them guilty?
And then I have a question too. In all of these cases, are the officers basically getting charged with the same thing?
No,
they aren't. Now I remember, to answer that question, I remember when George Zimmerman was charged with killing Trayvon Martin. He was charged with first-degree murder.
That's why he didn't get off.
And that's why he got off.
Yeah, that's why he got off.
Because he was charged with first-degree murder. And first-degree murder has an element of premeditation to it.
Right.
And that was not a premeditated murder. I mean, as much as we get so riled up and excited about these cases, we have to be mindful of the strategic way of seeking justice. And strategically, in the Trayvon Martin case, that was a manslaughter case that was charged as first-degree murder, which is the reason why he got off. So to answer your question first, I'm not sure about how they're being charged. I would guess, knowing what I know, just as an amateur sleuth who watches Law and Order all the time, this officer, Geronimo, whatever his name was not guilty of first-degree murder. Now, I don't remember what the charge was. Maybe one of you guys might remember what he was charged with, Joe. Can you look it up?
I'll look it up.
If you can look it up for me or for us.
So what was the police officer like for Eric Garner? What was he charged with? Or
he wasn't charged.
At all.
He wasn't charged.
Okay.
But you know who was? The guy who filmed it. He was charged.
Okay.
Yeah. And like you said, First Lady, about the meme with all of those names.
Right.
How does that make you feel? You personally?
I'm actually numb to it. I mean, I can't even say that's unfortunate because it's almost like the crime in our city of Richmond. You know, it's actually repetitive. You know, I expect, and it's so sad that I expect to hear about a killing every night when I turn on the news. So me hearing that another police officer got away with killing another black man, it's just another day in the news for me. So, you know, at the beginning when it first happened, you know, I had my tears. I was frustrated. I wanted to protest and this, that, and the other. Now it's basically like okay. So it's sad and unfortunate, but it really makes me feel no kind of way, just numb.
How do you feel about not feeling? Like when you have
Angry
your
and upset that I don't feel.
right, and that's
Yeah.
what I thought you were going to say. Like when you have your quiet moment when you know that you should feel, but you don't because you're used to it.
Right.
Do you feel about your lack of feelings? If that makes sense.
Because it makes me feel like I don't care, and I do care because
Right.
I don't want this to happen, and because I cannot make it stop happening, then it's almost like I give up, and then again I feel upset because I feel like I'm giving up on us, and I don't want that to happen when I have nieces and nephews.
Let me ask you this. I want to stay with you for a minute. When many of us have friends that are not black,
Right.
I know I do. I got friends that are not black. Quite frankly, I got friends that are white. But when we see stories like these, the natural inclination is to rally around your own. Whether that's the right thing to do or not is for another discussion. But the natural inclination is to rally around your own. I know for me, I get frustrated when I see cases like Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Philando Castile, Freddie Gray, Oscar Grant, Romali Graham, Tamir Rice, John Crawford. I just named like 7, 8 guys, boom, off the top of my head, right?
Right.
And the only people that I see getting mad are black people. I don't see the LGBT community getting mad, and we know we rock for them.
Right.
I don't see the Puerto Ricans getting mad, and you can look at their parade and see there's plenty of us out there.
Right.
And I don't see white folk getting mad, and I don't even need to qualify that. So, staying with you, First Lady.
Because it still shows and proves that it actually probably doesn't matter until it happens to you. Again, like the crimes that happens in Richmond. Nobody, I guess, and I can't say not everybody because I can't speak for everybody, but, nobody knows how to comfort, or nobody knows how to talk, or nobody knows how to rally or get things together, again, until it happens too close to home. And then you have another mother, another family on TV crying. And again, like I said, I'm numb because I can, what else can we do as far as, all the police officers, I feel that they're going to get off because they have that badge. So everybody has to protect their brothers or the men behind the badge because I guess there's not a lot of them. Who's going to really say that from now on the screening process for these new officers is going to be any better, or the ones that's about to come into the academy? I mean, who's actually doing the screening? So again, who can prevent this in the future? So, I mean, again, I can say how I feel. I can say I'm frustrated. I can say I'm crying. I can say I'm numb to it. I can say that I've put together a group. I can say I've done a lot of things. But when it really comes down to it, I mean, what is it going to help? Who is it going to stop?
Right.
Is my protesting, is my group going to stop that next police officer from shooting your brother?
#, Marcus J. Live from the Dan Legacy Internet Radio. Be a part of the discussion tonight, 804-402-2893. Joe, I know you have some information for me. Before I give you an opportunity to let me get some of this social media stuff in, and then I'll have you jump in. Hakeem is clarifying some of his statements, and we gave you a hard time, Hakeem, but we appreciate you being a good sport. He says, no, I respect all cultures. I do not want a homogeneous world, but where they are today is from a culture of laws that was developed in another era. Your norms, morals, laws are a result of the times that you live in. Evolution, social, and cultural should happen vertically and not horizontally. While I agree with you in spirit, we still live off of a document that was written in 1776. It's called the United States Constitution. There are a couple of amendments, but for the most part, we live by the original text, so we ain't no better than they are. He also continues, as much as we don't like the verdicts, we have to, as hard as it is, it may or will be mindful that these cases are prosecuted by underpaid, overworked attorneys. Totally agree with that. They don't have the means or resources to be successfully try a case the way it needs to be or should be tried. You should always take your chances against the state. because the odds are always in your favor. Totally agree. As much as I disagreed on your other point, I totally agree with that one. That is if you have an attorney, not a court-appointed one. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Shout out to our brother, the Couch Coach, who's checking us out. Mom is back. Thank you, Mom, for listening. Our sister Neek is back listening to us as well. Our sister Laurel and Michelle K all listening to us right now. So shout out to them. Big bro, 804-402-2893 is the number to rock with us. Do you have any information for us?
Yes, I do. What
do you have?
This comes from CNN.com. It said the Minnesota police officer who fatally shot Philando Castile during a traffic stop in July was charged Wednesday, which this was back in 2016. The date on this was November 17, 2016. He was charged with second-degree manslaughter and 2 felony counts of dangerous discharge of a firearm.
Okay.
By the Ramsey County Attorney John Choi.
Second degree. Can you look up that's the charge that we were looking for. That's the charge we were looking for. Now, can you look up?
But it was even now you got to look at it now.
Okay.
It was second-degree manslaughter.
Can you look up to what that means too? Or do you know what second degree means?
I know that one of the degrees is intent. There's some intent with manslaughter. Like once you roll up, you should know that you might kill somebody. Yeah. I think that's the first degree one.
If it's an
second
accidents
degree,
can be
accident is a second
degree.
Yeah.
And technically, that's what they're saying. It's an accident. It was a fear for your life.
Like murder, you should know that you might kill somebody.
Now, murder, you know you're going to kill somebody.
Not murder, you know you're going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Manslaughter, you may not have woke up that day knowing that you was going to kill somebody, but there's still a level of intent with the first degree.
Yeah.
Second degree is like, oh, my bad. Somebody died as a result of my actions.
That's like, like you get a kid, got the pistol off the top shelf and shot his homeboy.
Or vehicular for DUIs.
Yeah, DUIs.
Right, yeah. I think that's
which should be first degree, actually.
I think that's the charge, First Lady. I think the second degree is accidents.
Yeah.
Involuntary.
Yeah, it says for second degree, it's any intentional murder with malice, but it's not premeditated or planned.
Okay.
Right, and that's so hard to prove because they had to say that the officer, whose name was Geronimo Yanez, had to have had, and police officers get a wide range. They get a wide build on that because they can holler, I feared for my life. And anything that you do could potentially
that's the term I was
shoot them, say, I feared for my life.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
That's that we discussed that over and over again. That's some bullshit.
Well, they teach you that in cop school.
They teach you that in security. If you're an armed security person, yeah, they teach you that. When you get in front, I fear for my life. But you need to be convincing.
But you know what? Something too. Did you all the dash cam video? Did you see actually how when the officer started shooting his gun, how the other officer like ran back from the window, like he didn't even know what was going on, like he was really surprised that the officer was shooting?
I didn't even peep that.
If you look at the video from the dash cam, you can see the other officer was on, I guess, her side. Since
she was on her side,
taking cover.
Yeah, and he was, he like ran back.
You're
because
trained
I'm pretty
to do
sure,
that, though.
But I'm just saying, the other officer looked like he was surprised that
he was shooting.
The main officer, was shooting. Like, basically, why are you shooting your gun?
Well, see, he probably didn't know if Castile had a weapon at that time either. Because the angle that he's at, it doesn't make a difference. If he started shooting, he's thinking, oh, he's shooting on justifiable principles.
So he's trying to run for cover, like you said.
Yeah, he's backing up to get a better angle engaged to find out, well, if he's shooting and he get him, I need to make sure that I can get him, know.
But you know what piece of that
was crazy.
I'm glad you pointed that out. And I wonder if you peeped this piece, because I'm finding that different people are peeping different things from this video. Did you notice, First Lady and Big Bro, that after the officer shot 7 times into Philando Castile, that he remained standing there with his weapon drawn on a mortally wounded man for another 3 to 4 minutes?
But you have to.
Before they pulled him out the car?
Before they pulled him out the car.
Wow.
His backup, if you pay attention to the audio, another officer came because he was so distraught about what he did with and I don't even feel right saying this, but I will, with respect to the officer and how he feels about what he had just done. he kept saying the F word, which the way he was saying it, like we all have said the
Like,
F
I
word.
made that mistake.
We have all said the F word like that before.
Like, he's dead, he's
like,
dead,
like,
he's
oh my God,
dead.
I can't believe I just did
I
this.
did that.
And so when his officer brethren came, he had to literally pull him away and say, I got it, man. I got it. I got it. As if to say, you can move from this spot. I'm here now. I'll take the spot. Because the officer would not move. He was frozen in that spot, holding his weapon on a mortally wounded man. Nobody thought to offer first aid, which, I mean, the bullets that he took, there was no saving him. But you've seen paramedics work on people that you knew wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
And he was not given that benefit. And I said this in social media a couple of days ago, and I'm going to say it here on this show. I don't care if you tired of hearing about Philando Castile, because that could be me. That could be the First Lady. That could be Big Bro Joe, because there were no laws broken. There were none. And I did my homework. Now, here's something else that you guys may or may not know. I did my homework on whether you are required to declare whether you are carrying. In some states you are. In some states you are. In some states you're not. In Virginia, you're not required.
No.
But you're supposed to produce when asked.
Yes.
In Minnesota, where this happened, is exactly the same. He didn't even have to tell him he had a gun on him. He didn't even have to tell him.
But you know what? 9 chances out of 10, and I can tell you because North Carolina, South Carolina does the same thing.
Well, North Carolina, you have to disclose as soon as they roll up on you.
Well, you don't even have to disclose. Well, you have to disclose, but as soon as they run your tag,
well, they already know.
They know
but I
that you have the propensity to
I
have your
literally just did this homework today because I knew that we would be talking about this. North and South Carolina, the minute that you engage with an officer, if you are carrying, you are required to tell them on the spot, I am carrying.
But see, they're also not a right to. Well, I think North Carolina is.
They're both
right
open
to
carry.
Open carry.
They're both.
But
They're both concealed carry states.
That if you're driving your own vehicle and it's a registered vehicle, you have to register your vehicle, and they know off the cuff that you have a concealed weapons.
Well, I also know.
Is that something like on the application when you like re-register for your driver's license or something? I mean, where is that on the questionnaire that you have a weapon or that you
the gun
own a weapon?
laws are not just gun laws, but any laws are the responsibility of the citizen to know the laws in the state that they live in.
That's not what she asked me though.
Well, the way I'm answering it is, in my knowledge, there's nothing on the driver's license specifically that indicates that you are a concealed carry permit holder. However, once they run you, they know.
Yeah.
Once they know you running you, they know. So you are as the
because you're licensed.
I guess when you
you're
purchase your
registered.
gun, they had to use.
And where I was
right,
and the piece and here's how they may clarify. When we voted a couple of weeks ago, I went into the polling place. They ask you for ID. They give you your ballot. And before I went to the ballot box, the lady said, "Are you carrying your weapon today?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm not."
Yeah, they know.
Because they know. Once they run you, they know.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let me ask you all this. If he would not have told the officer that he had a gun, would the situation have
He
turned out
probably would.
differently?
He would probably be alive right now. And the only reason why I would say he would probably be alive unless would be if
They told him to get out of the car and they patted him down.
they told him to get out the car and pat. But you know what? He might have been safer then, because he would have been like this.
No,
Well, they
not
ain't got too
necessarily.
many- that ain't
Not
got too
necessarily.
many
Not
Because
necess-
remember
not-
the officer with which one was the guy who went back to his vehicle and got shot?
Yeah, that was by the lady.
Oh,
She
that was
got
the
out
lady
too.
cop. The lady.
Yeah, he went back to his
But he
car.
didn't have no gun. He didn't have no gun. Well, what about Sam DeBose, whose shooter just got off, and they made Sam DeBose look like that? Might no. That's a different.
He
that's
was
a
in the
different,
truck.
That's a different case. See how many
There's
of
so
these?
many different cases.
Yeah, Sam DeBose was the one where the police officer was trying to get him to get out of the car, and he refused because he didn't feel like he was being treated right, and so he tried to drive off, and the cop pulled the gun out and shot him in the head. That was Sam DeBose.
Well,
Oh my! I didn't hear about that.
With that one,
Wow.
matter of fact, that officer got his acquittal. Was it the same day in Philando Castile? It was certainly within a day or two of Philando Castile. But here's the next question that I want.
Don't waste your phone battery, Joe.
Here's the question
don't waste your battery.
Really. Here's the question that I want to ask Joe as a person who's a veteran and immersed in law enforcement. I'm going to rely on you, and then First Lady and I are going to talk as civilians. But my question to you is, why is it that law enforcement overwhelmingly are found to either be not guilty or not charged? Now, here is why I'm asking you. I got a lot of the white brothers and sisters that are telling me, well, we get shot and killed by the police too, and y'all kill each other at a higher clip. Yeah, when Day kills Pookie, Day goes to jail. You know, when officer shoots one of us, they get, you know, leave or not charged or whatever. So miss me with that bullshit, like for real. Also miss me with the black on black crime as a phrase, because people kill where they live. If you live in the hood, you're going to kill who's in the hood. Yep. If you live in a trailer park, you're going to kill the trailer park. If you live in Chinatown, that's where your people are. That's where you're going to kill. So let me just throw a couple of these out here, Joe. You got Daniel Pantaleo, who was the one who was not charged for killing Eric Garner. You got Darren Wilson, who was not even indicted for killing Mike Brown. You had Timothy Loman, who was not charged with killing Tamir Rice. You had Blaine Salami and Howie Lake, who were not charged, or there was insufficient evidence in the Alton Sterling case. You had several officers who were not convicted in the killing of Freddie Gray. You had a mistrial, Michael Slager, who was the one who killed Walter Scott, who was pulled over with the broken taillight. Remember, he was the one that was running and got shot in the back. You had Ray Tensing, who was the one who got a mistrial in the Sam DuBose case. Never mind the one in Chicago where Laquan McDonald was shot in the street, and they sat on that one for like 2 years before we even heard about that one. And you got Roy Oliver, who was the one that shot and killed Jordan Edwards. This one was recently, back in April of this year. He pulled his shotgun out and shot at a fleeing car. Never mind that fleeing car was fleeing whatever the thing was that this officer was called to deal with. The car was fleeing that shit.
He was running away from it.
He was running away from it and ended up dead. And
I ain't laughing because it's funny. But
no, and I know it was what they call like nervous chatter. Like, I got you. I know exactly what that laughter was. But I'm going to ask you as law enforcement, I also know you're a black man, so I want you to put all of that shit together and help me understand why officers are not treated the same as people. Because if we walk out here tonight and I happen to, or maybe not happen to, have my pistol on me, let's say I happen to, and something goes down and somebody gets taken down, and I say, well, I fear for my life. Will that fly for me the way it will some of these officers?
Depends.
Talk to me.
The reason, and this is just from experience and from seeing, a lot of police officers, they get the benefit of the doubt because of the title that they carry. And as a law enforcement officer, you have the propensity to go from different threat levels that you follow. We as standard citizens, you can't go at somebody with if they got a rock, you can't just pull out your gun and shoot them. You know, you have to try to find another means to disarm them or take care of a situation. You know, they teach you in school and in academies and things of that nature that if a person, you can have to escalate it according to the threat level that you feel is needed at that time. Police officers don't have to use secondary or non-lethal forms of deterrent They don't have to go. If you start to fight them, the first thing they can do is, and you don't want to say it that way, but if you look like you reaching to pick up something, they can shoot you. You know, if you fighting one-on-one, they can gas you, or they can tase you, or they can take their nightstick to you, or if you getting your if you getting your ass whooped, then I guess you can pull out your gun and shoot them. You see what I'm saying? And it's bad to say, but they're not all bad officers, but some of them will sit there and say, well, they were reaching for my gun. And you don't know what that situation is going to call for right at that time. So a lot of times they take all of that information and put it into a prep. When they go and talk to the police officers, they prep them. They prep them very well to be very articulate and to look like they are just Andy Griffin's cousin sitting there in Mayberry on a rocking stool that wouldn't hurt a flea. You know what I'm saying? It's prep time. It's prep work. And you know, for anybody who's listening tonight, if you don't like what's being said, if you think that I'm telling a lie, pick up the telephone, 804-402-2893. That's the number to call to get in. But it is what it is. Now, as far as you and I are concerned, you know, say we do have our weapons on it and something goes down. I feel that I have every right to protect me. And you know that you would probably get more time for wounding someone than you would for stopping the threat that's coming for you. If you shoot them in the leg, you're going to get more time because you're going to get a malicious wounding time, which is more time that you potentially would get for stopping the threat.
Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Hakeem says that the Supreme Court look at his decisions, even lower courts' decisions, new laws are a result of changing cultures and norms, marijuana legalization, gay marriage, etc. I agree with you, but I ain't never seen no amendment that says that we ain't no longer 3/5 of a human. So they change shit they want to change. Let's be honest about that.
Okay, now I have a hypothetical question, I guess, for the gun carriers. So let's just say if you all had your weapons on you tonight and we did walk outside and with the same scenario that you said, and not it even being a law enforcement officer, but you just got approached by two dudes, is for y'all, and again something happens where you have to use your weapons and the police come. You don't feel like, even if the police knows the situation with all the witnesses and saying, you know, these guys walked up on them and started this, you all don't think you'd be taken downtown, fingerprinted?
Oh yes,
all that?
Oh, you already know.
That's a definite.
Yeah, you know.
You're going downtown.
Like you do not carry a weapon unless you know that that's a possibility,
Yeah.
and you have to be prepared.
So even if it's not y'all fault and y'all
Absolutely.
have witnesses,
Oh yeah,
they still,
because they
Oh,
have
yeah.
to have an investigation on
Yeah.
it and prove that you have to. You know what, that whole.
I mean, the whole fingerprint, y'all got to be in the gadget paper and all that stuff before y'all proven guilty and all. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's where that sucks.
Well, you know what, and I don't have a problem at all.
Well,
with
what's your phrase that you always use? You rather be what than what?
Oh yeah, I tell you right now, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Okay, I mean, I'm just saying, like.
I mean, I understand where you're going, First Lady, and it's a
I feel like
legitimate
that's not
question.
fair because now y'all have
Well, of course it's
records
not.
for what?
Well, no,
You're not
I don't have a
necessarily
record.
you're not going to have a record.
I don't have a record until I'm found guilty. But they still have, you know what, due process, and I do believe that there is due process. Now, it doesn't look like it in today's society with the way law enforcement is getting away with murdering our brothers and sisters. But every cop isn't bad, and every person who black out there doing dirt stuff isn't good. So I'll say that to say, if I carry my weapon and I have to discharge my weapon, I know, first of all, that I'm going to use my weapon to stop the threat for me and any other person that I feel is incapable of protecting themselves. And as long as I understand that and know that, I can walk away from that with a good conscience. First of all, I might shoot him, and then if I had my weapon, I might shoot him and then give him first aid to see if he's going to live.
Okay, what if you all shoot and you kill the person?
Well, then he's dead, and I'm going to sit right there with my weapon. I'm going to declare my weapon and set it right there and wait on the police. Matter of fact, I'm calling them.
Yeah, you're not going to run.
I run for
you know,
what?
yeah.
I mean, no, I wouldn't expect you all to run. I'm just saying, like, how that whole process go down. You know, like, now you got to go through all this because you got a gun. Now you got to get processed.
But see, the flip
side is you're right.
The flip side is you dead.
But
yeah, the flip side is you don't have your weapon.
Yeah,
and
you
they
dead.
jump you and you gone.
And you dead. Yeah, I mean, it just I
See,
understand.
back in the day, we would have all fist fought.
No, we wouldn't.
Not necessarily. Well, yeah, but see, here's the
got
thing though.
knives.
Here's the thing though, right? The Second Amendment has always been there. It's the second one.
I mean, I could dig that.
And
I'm just saying.
The right to bear arms.
Yeah, I
It's a
got
little
you.
bit more shooting these days than it used
There,
to be.
there is,
I feel.
and I share your concern because I had it for over 40 years of my life.
But let me ask
I've
you-
always felt, and I still feel the way you feel.
But let me interject. Let me interject something. Criminals have always had guns. People nowadays, and I have to believe that the majority of the people who have concealed, if you have a concealed weapon permit, then you have the right to have that weapon permit because they have vetted you through a long, drawn-out process.
It ain't
Trust and
easy.
believe me,
It
it's
ain't
not easy. It's easier for you to say forget it and be a criminal. Because you know what? We always sit there and say, locks are not for honest people.
And they're for criminals.
You know what? That locks are not, because a crook don't care about your lock. He
Right.
can break in your house. That lock is supposed to make you feel more secure.
But you may not even be.
But you may not even be.
Yeah, I mean, I've evolved on this subject and this topic, and it's not something that I'm happy about. I'm proud
I
of.
don't
You
see
know,
how y'all do it, like the whole gun carry thing. I mean, I know some of my homegirls, they carry guns too. I mean, I guess it's to each his own. I just feel like that having a gun is a very, very, very big responsibility. And
So is driving a
like,
car.
I mean, I can dig that, but a whole lot of more people have cars than they do guns.
and a whole lot more people
And-
die in cars than die at the hands of guns.
I mean, I can dig it, but you know where I'm trying to go. Please.
No,
don't try
I
to correct
do.
me. No,
I
no,
do.
no.
I
But I'm
do.
just saying, it's a lot of killing. It's a lot of shooting, and it's a lot of guns in the wrong hands.
But let
That's
me-
why I said I don't feel like that. The Second Amendment is really it's not for the bad people. So I can dig the NRA and things like that, and I don't think that guns should be taken away from people who actually know what they're doing and things like that. I get it, but again, just like I say about the whole trying to teach people about gun violence. You don't need to teach anybody about gun violence. These people who are shooting these guns know if I shoot you, it's going to cause some sort of harm. You might not get up. They know this. So what do you need to teach? My thing is, you can't change anybody's mind. You can't deter them from what they're going to do. So, I mean, my whole thing is, yes, sometimes I feel like that I need to be protected with a gun myself. But then again, I already know if I take somebody's life, how is that going to make me feel too? I mean, yeah, you're protecting yourself, but knowing in the back of your head that you took a life. I mean, I know, yeah, take theirs before they take yours. And that's the whole mentality that the police have too. That's why they look at all of us like, yeah, let me take them so I can go home.
You know, I everything that you just said, trust me, it took me a long time before I got to the point where I am now, my thought process on it. You know, when I was a young person and I saw my grandmother used to walk around with what they used to call blackjacks or flapjacks or whatever it was they called them. It's like a little tiny nightstick that was big enough to fit in the palm of your hand. And she was a very small woman. She'd pop somebody with it because it made, you know, if she needed to, because it, you know, she felt safe. She had something to keep people from messing with her. They wasn't going to run up on her to stick her up, but they might have ran up on her to hit her over the head. She's carrying a weapon that's commensurate with the threat. Whereas today, the threat is different. Yeah. It just is. You know, I remember coming up in Jersey City, you know, in the 80s, getting into fights. You know, I remember having fights, you know, and I lost my share. I won a couple, but I lost my share of fights. Right. But that's not the threat today. It's not the same today. And I would challenge gun opponents, and I used to be one. And so I say this with the utmost level of respect, but I would challenge gun opponents to do their homework and research and show that the incidences of violent crime that is perpetrated by law-abiding gun owners versus criminals. Because a criminal is going to do what he or she wants because they are a criminal. And that's what criminals do. You can't stop a criminal. You can tell a criminal, if you kill this guy, we're going to hang you or execute you or put a needle in your arm. And the criminal's going to say, I don't care. I'm still going to kill that person. This is what criminals are going to do. Whereas a law-abiding citizen, 9 times out of 10 will never draw their weapon unless they're at the gun range. They just won't, because there's no need for it. And when there may be a need for it, because he or she has been trained, he's going to go or she's going to go through the process of trying to do everything they can before they have to draw their weapon, which is what law enforcement should be doing.
They don't.
Some of them do and some of them don't. And I'm not going to disparage all law enforcement, but some of them do and some of them don't. Just like we all know that one dude in our camp or in the hood that is an asshole that's going to do everything he can to get in trouble, and we may not say nothing until he actually gets in trouble because of whatever reasons. It may or may not be stop snitching, or it may just be you just used to not saying nothing. That's just the way you roll. You're just used to not saying nothing. It's the same with the police. You think they don't know which one of the officers is overly aggressive and has the what do you call I don't want to say rap sheet. That's a criminal thing.
Eval.
You know, the psych evals, but like, you know, you got
His
all of
folder
these.
at work
His folder at work. There
pretty
you go.
thick.
That's
His
what
jacket.
there you go,
Yeah.
First Lady. Thank you.
Yeah.
That guy. His jacket.
His
That's the word they
complaints.
use. His complaints.
Yeah.
Like you think that they don't know when
yeah.
they riding around which ones is who's who? They know.
Yeah, they know.
They know. But they get mad at you for saying stop snitching. And you know how to start with Marcus J. Live in the dead legacy. Fuck out of here. Oh, ooh. F out. Get out of here. It's usually Grizzly who gets me to do that, but my apologies. Ain't no how to start with Marcus J. Live from the Den Legacy. And let me get a couple of these comments in before we take it home. Neek said, was sad. He did everything right. Did not have to disclose he had a weapon. There was nothing else Fernando could have done outside of getting out of the car and allowed him to search it. She continues, keep in mind the officer was already shaky and excited because he was trying to identify the occupants in the vehicle as potential robbery suspects of having a wide nose. Yes, let us not forget that piece. Hakeem says it's uniquely American problem, gun culture and violence. The Second Amendment is antiquated and bended and twisted for justifications for self-interest. Absolutely 100% agree. Second Amendment stands, but you had to fight to get them to address the 13th Amendment and others. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Had a great show, y'all. We're going to take our final break of the night. It's only been 2, but this is going to be the last one. Come back. Got a history moment for you. First Lady's going to rant and close. Big Bro Joe's going to rant and close. We're searching for a missing child. And I might have something to say at the end of the show as well. I'm your host, Marcus J. That's Big Bro Joe. That's the First Lady. Ain't no half stepping with us. We'll be back in a few, y'all. Stay with us.